Oh hey, I'm Q, and this is my shop. I don't know if the door can handle this anymore. I am a part-time woodworker, part-time dumpster diver, and there's nothing I love more than building something out of some good garbage, like this arcade machine that I built out of my climbing gym's old moon board. In this video, I'm going to show you how I turned my 19-foot by 19-foot two-car garage into a high-functioning wood shop on the tightest budget possible. Since I just finished my workbench and I added a few new machines, my shop's in a really good place, and I felt like now would be a great time to show you guys around. This is my brand new hybrid style workbench. It serves as my shop's new centerpiece, and it's the first thing you see when you walk in. It's got a more traditional style slab top on one side with an assembly table / outfeed table on the other. Well, as you can see, this thing is made of mostly white and red oak. It's actually a bunch of free salvaged barn lumber, pallet wood, and an old ping pong table. The material cost for me was actually limited to just the vices, the casters, and some various hardware used for assembly. The lower shelf is completely open and has a decorative chevron pattern on it. I think a lot of people would opt to use this space for storage, like put in some cabinets and drawers, but for me, I tend to be making a lot of bigger projects, and as of right now, I feel like I have enough drawers, but I don't have a space to store big parts of big projects that I'm making. So I left it open for those particular situations. If you'd like to know more about this workbench, I made a video on it. You can check out the whole build process over there. Once you're done with this video, watch this one first. After the workbench, the next centerpiece of my shop is, of course, the table saw. It's kind of part of the reason I built the workbench in the first place. This is a rigid Children are dying in those streets. This is a rigid R4512, which to my understanding is about the best table saw you could buy at Home Depot 15 years ago. I picked up this saw at a yard sale for 150 bucks, and when I got it, its cast iron top had completely rusted out, its casters delaminated on the way home, and it kept making this horrifying rattling noise. I had to take the whole saw apart and get down to the motor to figure out that the impeller had actually completely stripped free of it. Terrifying. I took the motor to a motor repair shop, and the guy put a new impeller on it. He originally wasn't even going to charge me for it, but I did end up paying him 80 bucks because I don't like asking for people to do services and then not paying them for those services. But if I was cheap, it could have been free. With the price I paid to the repair guy, the cost of the table saw itself, and the material that I've used to clean it, I have about $250 in this saw right now, and that is still substantially less than this goes for on a secondhand market. So I still feel like I got a pretty good deal. I took some Scotch-Brite pads and some WD-40 and scrubbed all of the rust off the top. I replaced all the delaminated casters, and I 3D printed some extra shims to go on my fence because that seems to be a problem that a lot of people have, and I didn't want to mess with it. This model in particular actually has two successors now, the R4522 and the R4560, which, according to the internet, are inferior models for several reasons, but not the least of which is the fact that this one can actually be wired for 240, and I don't have 220 out here. Maybe one day I'll get it and I'll actually wire it for that, but you know, that's nice. Left of the table saw, or right of the workbench, is my miter station. And I know I'm a bit biased, but I think this is one of the most professional looking parts of my shop. And believe it or not, all of these cabinets are made out of particle board. Now, particle board is structurally weaker than plywood. It doesn't hold screws as well. It's much more brittle around the edges. It's far less water resistant. And to top it all off, it's almost twice as heavy as plywood. So why would anyone in their right mind build something out of particle board? Well, for me, it's pretty simple. I found all of this material in the dumpster outside of my local pet store. I got 12 2-foot by 4-foot sheets of 3/4 inch particle board and 2 2-foot by 4-foot sheets of black melamine from those dumpsters. There were more boards there, but everything I took was pretty much all that was in a condition worthy of reusing. I'm assuming there were some shelving units there that were being replaced, like the ones you're seeing on screen right now. While I only built these with such cheap material because it was completely free to me, these have actually held up really well over the past year, and I would actually consider building any non-hanging cabinets in your shop out of particle board. The drawers are all completely made out of 3/4 inch plywood, the lion's share of which was actually at one point under our bed used to support our mattress. The rest of which was just some random offcuts of whatever previous projects. For the drawer fronts, I took some thin packaging material from my work and I glued it to some 1/2 inch plywood to make it a little bit thicker. Main reason I did that was because that was some of the prettiest material that I had on hand, and I wanted these to look good. The tops are those 2 sheets of black melamine, and I added some oak pallet wood as a trim along the edges. And lastly, I 3D printed all of these drawer pulls. The only thing I had to buy for this project were the T-track, the measuring tape, some melamine edge banding to help the drawers slide better, and a bunch of pocket hole screws. I also 3D printed a bunch of Gridfinity organizers for a lot of the drawers. I'm particularly happy with how my drill bit one turned out. Each cabinet has 4 drawers of increasing size as you go down, except for the center cabinet, which has this smaller drawer with a face-mounted power strip next to it, a larger drawer below that, and then another open little cabinet area beneath that. Most of the drawers on here haven't really found a purpose yet, but I'm working on it. And here we have my miter saw, which is a Hitachi C12 FDH. I don't know why they named them like that. I'm never gonna remember that one. This was kind of a hand-me-down tool, so I didn't get to pick it, but I'm pretty sure this was a fairly affordable unit. I think it's like $200, $250 new. I've considered upgrading to that one Bosch model that everybody seems to have, but if I did that, I'd have to rebuild this whole center cabinet, and I don't wanna do that. Next to the miter saw, I have this little Harbor Freight belt sander that kind of just fell in my lap one day. I have used this thing maybe 3 times. I don't really find them super necessary for the kind of work I do, but maybe if I start doing more curves in my projects, I'll change my tune on it. Over here we have a couple of the new additions to my shop with this tiny little drill press and this scroll saw. This drill press I got for 50 bucks recently, and let's be honest, I probably overpaid for it. But the motor's good, it runs, and it just needs a little bit of cleanup. It is very tiny, but it can fit right on this shelf. I actually had to cut away some of this pegboard so that it could actually fit where it's supposed to go. It doesn't cover up my T-track, so I can still get my stop blocks in and out. And if I ever need to do any like drill press work on a big piece, I'm not gonna be using this thing anyway, because I also have this drill guide. I left some space between the drill press and the belt sander for if I ever eventually get a bench grinder. I've been really holding out to see if one of the old people I know will give me one for free, but I'm probably just gonna end up buying a DeWalt one. Speaking of old people giving me tools for free, this scroll saw. My boss thought this thing didn't work and told me that if I think I can fix it, I can have it. And I brought it home and seems like it's working to me. The scroll saw is sitting on top of a cart that I found on the curb one day. This cart has a drawer that holds all of my sharpening equipment, and there's a shelf that was the perfect size to fit my Sam's Club wrench set. And then over here we have my Win dust collector, which is about the cheapest one that you can possibly buy. Now that I think about it, it was actually the second cheapest. I splurged a little bit. But I cheaped out on the cyclone filter. I 3D printed this and glued it up to a trash can and made my own filter, but I discussed all this in a previous video. Up above all of my machines, I have my clamps, which are on little clamp racks I built. I kind of just threw them together. They're a little slapdash. I don't really have an influencer amount of clamps quite yet, but I'm getting there. I got some Bessie parallel clamps. And then on this side, I have my tool wall, which has all of your basic necessities, your standard Japanese pull saws. You've got some chisels. I've got my mallets and my hammers and measuring tapes, squares. I just got this draw knife that I'm very excited about. And up top, you can see I've got this big 2-man crosscut saw, which if you want to see what I'm going to be doing with that, subscribe to the channel, check it out. I only actually have 2 hand planes. I have this little block plane that I bought from Home Depot that I kind of hate, but I also have this jack plane, which was actually my great-grandfather's. It was my dad's grandfather who gave it to him, who gave it to me. It's kind of funny because this tool means a lot to me and is very sentimental, but I've probably used it more than both of its previous owners combined. In this corner, I have a couple of wall hanging cabinets. Both of these were found on the street. This one was actually kind of Frankenstein together out of 2 different cabinets. I have this center piece of it that pulls out. I kind of keep all of my stains and stuff in here. I hadn't done a drawer cabinet thing like this before, and I had a drawer slide around. I thought it'd be cool. Underneath of it, I have all of my battery-powered tools, a couple of hand-me-down drills, which are my primary drill and driver. I have my first Ryobi drill that doesn't really work anymore, but I can still use it to mix epoxy, so that's kind of what I use it for. Nail gun, jigsaw, and my second Ryobi circular saw. My first one broke and I didn't learn my lesson, I guess. In here, I keep my routers. I have a Ryobi corded router and I just upgraded to this DeWalt 20 volt XR. This is actually my first tool on the DeWalt 20 volt family. I've been wanting to, obviously I'm on the Ryobi family, but I've been wanting to switch over to the DeWalt family for a while because their battery powered routers are supposed to be really good. And also most of my friends and family are already on the DeWalt family. So if they ever, you know, get rid of some old tools and I have the batteries for those tools, Along the back wall, I have this big workbench, which was actually here when we moved in. It was originally where my miter station is, but I wanted to build the miter station there, so I moved this back here. And the more I use it, I'm thankful to have it, but I would like to replace this and put some actual like shop cabinets out here at some point. In the corner, I have my battery charging station. It's a little messy, but it's functional. And I have this vise that I don't really know what to do with right now. I've been wanting a vise like that because it's useful for small metal parts, but I don't know where to bolt it down to where I don't feel like it would be in the way. Next to the workbenches, I have my wood storage rack. And I've heard a lot of people say that having your own DIY wood storage rack looks a bit amateurish. And to those people I say, you might have a point. This wood storage rack is actually a repurpose of one of my first ever woodworking projects, or at least my first solo woodworking project. See, during COVID, our climbing gym closed and my wife and I were going a little stir crazy. And so I decided to build a rock climbing wall in our garage. It served us well, but as soon as the climbing gym opened, we realized that we weren't really using it anymore. So when we moved into this house, I had a bunch of leftover material from it and decided to turn it into this. This wood rack has 4 tiered shelves that are about 2 feet wide and 8 feet long, and then one big open area for sheet material. My big constraints when I was building this were that I needed to be able to store sheet material, I needed to be able to store long boards, and I also needed to be able to get my lawnmower under it. It's working for me, but I still feel like at some point I want to tear this out and turn this corner into a more dedicated space for my milling machines. Speaking of my milling machines, here they both are. I have a joiner and a planer. This is a Delta JT360 and a DeWalt DW734. I actually have this joiner on loan from a friend while he doesn't really have a place to store it, and the day that he needs it back will be a very, very sad and expensive day for me. Before I had a joiner in my shop, I thought, I don't need a joiner, and now I really, really can't imagine my workflow without it. I do notice some limitations with this. This is only a 6-inch model and its in-feed and out-feed could be a bit longer. So I think if I am forced to pull the trigger on another joiner, I think I'd go for an 8-inch model that has a little bit bigger of the out-feed and in-feed tables. On the planer side, I borrowed this from my father-in-law for a project and he never asked for it back, so it's basically mine now. I am also not the biggest fan of this thing. It is like standing next to a jet turbine every time I turn it on. In all seriousness, I will have to buy my own planer at some point, and I will probably want a nicer machine than this, preferably something with a helical head. I hear those are a little bit quieter, but I don't have 220 out here, so I would really have to run that first. While we're back here, I have all this paint splatter on the garage door, and everybody always asks me what project this was from, and this is actually from the previous owners. The house came like this. The gunk on the floor is me, though. Lastly, the newest addition to my shop is this Grizzly G0555 14-inch 1-horsepower bandsaw. I've been wanting a bandsaw for basically the better part of a decade, and a bandsaw serves 3 primary purposes: cutting curved cuts, doing stopped cuts, and resawing. And while those little 10-inch benchtop bandsaws for about $200 were really tempting, those aren't really strong enough to do resawing, and having about 14 inches and 1 horsepower is, from what I looked up, about the bare minimum. I found this thing for a really good deal. I got it for $400 on Facebook Marketplace, which is about half of the MSRP. But I haven't started any new projects since I got it. It didn't come in perfectly new condition. I had to clean up the cast iron a little bit, and obviously whenever you buy a new bandsaw, the first thing you should do is replace the blade. But beyond that, the motor sounds really good. All of the bearings sound really nice, and once I put some paste wax on it and cleaned everything up, there are no more horrible squeaks whenever I move the fence. Overall, I'm really happy with what I have right now. I still have plenty of plans to change and tweak everything, but it is currently 2026. We moved in here in 2023, and if I compare what my shop looked like then to what it looks like now, it is night and day. It's crazy. I can only imagine what this place is going to look like in another 3 years. Hopefully you're around to see it. Bye.